Droid.
What's up YouTube? This is the Motorola Droid, the phone that was designed to kill the iPhone. It features a 3.7-inch touchscreen, a slide-out physical keyboard, and an ARM Cortex A8 processor as the brains on this so-called iPhone killer. Today, we're going to dive into why the Droid was meant to wake up the market and whether or not it succeeded in destroying the iPhone. This is the unboxing gadget. Let's dive in and explore. Let's get it. Alright, so here it is, the Motorola Droid. If you ever had an Android phone or Android device, to me this was what really got Android going to the normal consumer market. Now, it wasn't the first Android device to come out, but to me it was the first Android phone to be really marketed to the smartphone world. I still remember today the different commercials trying to undermine the iPhone. I mean, I just wanted a Droid so it can say
Droid.
But here we are unboxing a Droid 16 years later. Now, this is a fully functional Droid. Everything should be working just like new. Hopefully everything's up and running. But alright, so we got it out the box, and man, this thing is so tiny. I mean, compared to what we have today, you know, with all the huge screens and just bigger phones, this thing is tiny and kind of chunky at the same time. But honestly, it has a nice weight to it. It honestly feels good. I kind of still remember holding this thing back in the day and sliding it up and down, and it had a nice premium feel to it. And we can see here that it still has that 3.7-inch screen, which of course to today's standards is pretty small. The keys are kind of compact. That's one thing I didn't quite like about the Droid. The keys were kind of compact. They were nowhere near as good as like a BlackBerry keyboard, but you know, it got the job done for the time. Now, if you remember the Droid, it was exclusive to Verizon at the time. AT&T didn't have that contract for Droid. They only had the contract for iPhone, and Droid was exclusive to Verizon. So, of course, I was on Verizon and I had the Droid. Let's quickly talk about some of the specs. Now, granted, this is a 15-year-old phone, and honestly, for the time, it stacked up pretty good, pretty dang good to the iPhone in my opinion for the time. And it came with a lot of goodies, so let's check it out. So, some of the major features of the Droid are the high-resolution display. It came with a WVGA 800 by 54 by 480 screen, which was pretty good. I mean, for the time, it worked for me. I didn't have any issues. The touchscreen was pretty smooth. You can zoom in, scroll out, so it's pretty cool. Like I said earlier, it came with that Cortex A8 processor, which is pretty fast. You know, no hiccups. Now, granted, today it's not going to be nowhere near as fast, but for what it was pretty good. It had 16 gigabyte of memory out the box, which was pretty good. I think you could also expand it to 32 for the time, which is, you know, pretty good. It had that keyboard. Like I said earlier, the keyboard to me was kind of small. The keys are too crammed and too jam-packed. It wasn't as precise as like a BlackBerry keyboard, but it got the job done. Then we had that 5.0 megapixel camera. And then we had, you know, just your normal stuff. You can search the web, you can do email. It had some apps on the Android store. The Android store was still building at the time. It wasn't quite as expansive as it is now, but it got the job done for some of your basic apps. All right, so enough talking. Let's get this thing turned on. So the Motorola Droid at the time came with Android 2.0, which was Android Eclair, and it came with a whole bunch of goodies. And the first goodie, which was always my favorite, was the live wallpapers. I mean, the live wallpapers were so cool. Of course, at the time, iOS didn't have live wallpapers and Android only had it, and to me that kind of just sold me on the whole Android thing at the time. And of course, it was on Verizon also, but and we had widgets. Widgets were also cool. The thing is, Android's been doing this for years. I mean, the fact that iOS finally kind of caught up, it's kind of crazy to me, but here we are. So you can clearly see Android's been doing this. Okay, so let's dive into some of the apps that comes pre-installed. And it came with a bunch of apps. Now, this isn't just the vanilla Android OS that would come with maybe the Google G1 or Google G2, but you know, it comes with a few pre-installed apps, like we got Amazon MP3, browser, calculator, calendar. Let's check out the camera. Of course, the camera's not going to stand up to today's time, but honestly, for the time, it was pretty decent. You can see, you know, it's not the best, but I mean, it works. I mean, it has that, you know, vintage effect to it, but it works. So car home, I'm not sure what car home is used for. Be Android Auto at the time. Gmail, of course, gallery, Facebook, email. So I guess you got email and Gmail, which is interesting. Contacts, clock, goggles. I think goggles is okay. It's like you paste the picture and it searches the web for you, which they're still using today. I forgot the naming of it. Google image search. Google image search. So we got that. Google search, maps, market, Android market, messaging. You know, green bubbles, blue bubbles. You know, I did do a video on green bubbles versus blue bubbles. Make sure to download that. And if we go back to the keyboard, we can see it's, I'm having a hard time typing it over the camera. Like I said, the keyboard still kind of cramped. Not quite as fluid and as easy to type on as like a BlackBerry, but it gets the job done. Music, and then we have navigation. Oh, we got Twitter. I guess it's talk, settings, phone, news and weather, navigation, visual VM, voice dialer, voice search, and then the OG YouTube. Man, this is a classic. I still remember opening the OG YouTube and watching videos. So the fact that we still have the OG YouTube on this is pretty cool. So there it is. Apps on the Motorola Droid. Pretty cool. Awesome device. Love Android 2.0 Eclair. All right, so there it is. The Motorola Droid, the phone that was explicitly designed to be an iPhone alternative. Now, clearly it didn't succeed in being the iPhone alternative because it doesn't exist anymore. And iPhone clearly has different variations going on for years. But honestly, I think the Droid did a good job of leaving its mark and helping Android get a boost that still to this day allows Android phones to live on and be a pretty good alternative to Apple and its iPhone. Either way, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.